These 5 rules changed my real estate deals overnight, and they're not as complicated to implement as you think. It is very easy for a beginner investor just like yourself to get taken advantage of by another experienced investor. But with these 5 rules, you'll be able to outsmart even the most experienced investor. My name is Zach, and for nearly the past 10 years, all I've done is eat, breathe, and sleep real estate, so I know what it takes to negotiate a good deal and not get taken advantage of. So let's jump into the very first rule. Rule number 1, never let the seller know exactly how much you'd be willing to pay for a property. If you come out the gate swinging saying exactly how much you want to pay for the property, that seller is going to have all the advantage over you in negotiating. By revealing your top price upfront, you severely weaken your negotiating power throughout the whole contract. At this point, a seller is going to hold firm on their price or even raise their price just because you revealed how much you'd be willing to pay. If they sense at all that you're emotional or financially committed to this, that is an easy way to get taken advantage of. If you can keep your maximum offer to yourself as long as possible, that is going to create so much room for negotiation, especially later on. And who knows, you might end up paying way less than you even thought, preserving so much profit. And more importantly, it actually gives you tons of flexibility to just simply walk away if the numbers don't add up. Let me give you an example of something I went through recently that'll help you. I was looking at a complex to buy and the numbers on paper looked really good, and I'm kind of a go-getter type person where as soon as I see something that's good, I want to jump on it and hop on it right away. But thankfully, my more experienced mentor said, hey, let's slow down a minute and here's a tactic to try. What I did is I actually just completely waited because they came back to me with an offer that was kind of high. I didn't like it. And so my partner said, hey, slow down for a second and let's actually just wait. Give them no response and let's just let them sweat it out because this property had been sitting for a long time. Now, they eventually came back to me and was like, look, you want to buy this property? Let's work on this price. Now, eventually, it came to fruition that we didn't end up buying this property because there was so many things wrong with the inspection, but that's just a simple example of we didn't let them know what we were really willing to pay for it, and we made them wait it out. Which leads me right into rule number 2, which is patience. One simple word that means so much in real estate investing is patience. If you rush into any deal, this will guarantee that it'll lead you to poor due diligence, you'll overpay for the property, or you'll even buy the wrong property altogether. All real estate deals take time, especially good ones. They can sometimes take even longer, but the patience will always be worth it. Patience will help you wait for the right property, negotiate better terms, and it'll ensure all the checks and due diligence are done before you buy. Remember this, investors who act impulsively often regret their decisions in the end. I remember not too long ago when I bought a property and I bought it at the auction. It was a complete mess and we planned for it. We took the time to account for everything we needed to repair, renovate, permits, all of this. And one key thing that we did because we had so much patience is we planned for when things go wrong. And would you believe it? Something went wrong with the property. It was a big title mess. And if you've been watching this channel, you've heard me talk about this property. Has so many title issues, but because we planned it, we had money set aside for extra things that we didn't plan for, we were able to pay for it. So let's build on that and talk about rule number 3, which is knowing your numbers. Look, if you get into any property and you don't understand the cost and you're not crystal clear on things like repairs and holding costs, taxes, anything like that, as well as not knowing your income, your resale value, that is an easy way to lose all kinds of money in the deal. Using specific formulas like cash on cash return or cap rate or your ARV or after repair value, that is going to help you negotiate this contract and this deal so much better. Because if you know at a certain price point you're not going to cash flow, well then you're going to work to try to get the purchase price a little lower. And even more important is if the numbers don't work out, that is a bad deal and you'll be able to spot that bad deal a mile away. And here's something that not a lot of people talk about, but it's so important. If you know your numbers and you know this deal is going to work out, your lender will absolutely love you because that lender is going to know that you're not going to bring them a deal and you're not going to try to get financing on something that isn't going to work out. Because let's be honest, a lender wants to make sure that your investment is going to cash flow and appreciate over time. Just remember that a profitable investment always starts with accurate financial forecasting. Rule number 4 is a massive rule and probably one of the biggest rules out of the 5. Never, I repeat, never skip inspections. You remember that complex I was just talking about in rule number 2? Well, that is the reason why we did not purchase it, because of the inspection. Because you see, this seller didn't want to give us any period for any due diligence and inspections, and they didn't want to lower the price at all. Inspections are going to be your key to uncovering any hidden issue, structural damage, electrical, plumbing, or anything like that. This will lead directly to you knowing how much your renovation is going to cost you. Because let me tell you, there's a big difference between $50,000 and $100,000 in a renovation. If you've planned for 50, but guess what? You didn't do an inspection and now all of a sudden you're knee deep in the project and it's gonna cost you $100,000, I guarantee you're gonna lose everything from that one deal, especially if you're a beginner investor. There's a phrase we use for properties like this, and they're called money pits. This is where no matter how much money you throw into it, it'll never be worth what you put into it. And getting those inspections will allow you to look at all of that and know if you can even afford this property or if it's worth it. Because at the end of that day, if that inspection uncovers a ton of problems and that seller is not willing to negotiate at all, you can simply walk away. So before we get to the very last rule, if you found any value in this video at all so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and turn on those notifications. Rule number 5 is to know exactly what market you are in. See, there are 2 main types of markets that you can be in, either a buyer's market or a seller's market. You see, a buyer's market is when there's going to be way more supply than there is demand, which means for you as a buyer, houses are going to be cheaper. If you have a really high supply of something and not enough people actually want to buy it, that drives the price all the way down. But on the other hand, if you have a seller's market, it's going to be the exact opposite. You're going to have a really high demand, but not enough supply to meet that demand, which is going to just rise the prices all the way up. And if you know which market you are in, this is going to help you negotiate any deal. Because if you're in a buyer's market, then you know you can negotiate that deal heavily and you can really take your time to get the exact price that you want. Because you know you're going to be one of very few people who actually want to buy something. But if you're in a seller's market, you have to know that you can't negotiate as much and you have to hop on things quick. And your offers have to be way more cleaner than they would in a seller's market. And on top of all that, your offers are going to have to be way more clean and streamlined than they would be in a buyer's market. And look, mastering these rules improves your judgment, protects your capital, and increases your chances of finding and closing deals. And more importantly, you are taking a deal from high risk to low risk. Real estate investing absolutely rewards preparation and discipline. These rules ensure that you are playing smart and not just getting played. Imagine if you were to just jump into a game that you've never played before, like football or soccer, and you have no idea the rules and someone said just play. Well, you would lose every time. And look, if you want to learn more about how to master buying your first rental property, then click on this video right here.